Hey everybody, welcome to Fearless 33 AD. This is Pastor Marty here with you. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and do all that stuff. Especially the like button. That's where the algorithms pick that up. And it's good to be here today with Pastor K.
Hey,
Aloha.
how's it going, everybody? Good to be back.
Good to be here.
Yeah. Now, who is our special guest today, Dad?
We have Rosemary Alanis with us. She is running.
Hello.
You're incumbent, right?
Yes.
So
For
incumbent,
Selma Unified.
Selma Unified, running for the school board.
Okay.
Here as election. This is election season.
Yes, it is.
And everybody's gearing up for that. And so we thought it was wonderful that we get the opportunity to have Rosemary with us today and tell us just some of her things, because she's a sister in Christ and her relationship with the Lord, and that our
all of our beliefs and our conservative beliefs.
We know
we're going to support
stuff like
anyone who supports the Word of God. Amen.
So tell us, when did you become a believer? When did you become a...
Wow, I became a believer when I was about 16. Yeah.
A few years ago then, just 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, just 2 or 3 years ago. And it really changed my life. I was going through a lot of hard times. Teenagers go through whatever they go through.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And somebody just came up to me. I was at something in Sanger at the football field, and somebody that I knew casually just came up and asked me if I knew Jesus and would I like to
Wow.
get to, yeah.
Reminds me of like the Gideons. That's really cool.
So you were actually evangelized. Somebody came to you.
Yes.
That's really
How
cool.
exciting is that?
Yeah, just straight up and came up to me and asked me if I knew Jesus, and I didn't at that time. I knew of him, but I didn't have a relationship with him. And he just came up, and I've always wanted to run into that person again. Just
say thank you.
Yeah, really.
That's
Yeah,
kind of
he came
be
up
cool.
to me at an
You
event.
that reminds me, maybe I'll share it if I don't have it right now. I just saw a video, Laura. By the way, Laura's here and
Hi,
her
Laura.
crew.
Hi, everybody.
Good to see
over
you
there.
guys.
That's Kairos Production. Thank you so much. As you can see, Jose's out of studio today. He'll be back in later on, so we'll have him today. But again, Laura and Lily and crew, thank you so much for what you do.
Yeah.
But it reminded me of a video I saw, Laura, yesterday, and it was homeless people or, just down and out, just with nothing.
Yeah.
And this lady walked by and had some like a piece of tape or something on money, and walked up and stuck it to her arm, and she'd shocked her at first. She was just kind of like, what are you touching me for? And then the person just kept moving as fast as they could go like that. And she looked and pulled it off, and it was money. She began to bawl and cry. And then it showed another guy walk up to another person and do the same thing. And the person on the shoulder, like, what? And then realized it was money and just kept going. You never see who it is. Yeah. And then this one guy walks up to this guy just sitting in the street, just literally almost completely out of it. I mean, like asleep or just, and he walks up and he opens his fingers like this and puts it in his hand. And before the guy could realize it, it startled him. He looked, the guy was already gone. And he looked and he began to look at it and he began to praise God, and he put his hands and he began to worship. And I put it on Facebook, and I said, this is how you truly honor God. We as churches are so used to, we're going to go do evangelism, but we want to make sure everybody knows who's doing it.
Oh, I know.
These people were doing
Very
it,
rarely do
and you
know
never
who's
knew
doing
who
it.
did it.
Yeah.
They just did it, and someone filmed it as they walked by and just kept doing it. And there's no end of it where there's an interview where the guy's sitting there going,
It's the whole,
hey, did you just see what we did?
Yeah.
We don't need the credit for it. We just did that, and we just walk away.
don't let the right hand know what the left hand is
that's
doing.
it.
Correct.
And I thought it just really, it was emotional. And I thought to myself, that's really what,
It's the definition
honoring
of
God is.
the Ray Boltz song, Thank You.
Yeah.
It's like I got to heaven, but it was my school teacher that told me one
Yeah,
day.
Sunday school. So, Rosemary, tell us some of the things that's going on in your life right now. It's election season.
You're right.
I've seen your signs around town. Selma colors.
Yes,
Your Selma colors.
absolutely.
Absolutely. I thought that I saw it and I go, you couldn't have had better colors than the high school colors here
Right,
in
right.
town. So what's going on? You're the incumbent. You're running for re-election to the Unified School District. And,
Yep.
and so
It has
Mike
been,
is yours.
It has been a learning experience, definitely. I came in thinking, I'm going to save the world and save these kids. You have to go through a lot of fires just to help the kids.
Yeah.
And just as you're taking 4 steps forward, then there's 3 steps back. But it's just my kids are out of the school system. I have no kids. I have no business. I have no hidden agendas. It's just what's for the kids. My kids often ask me, "Why do you do this? Why are you on there?"
Right.
And I'm not really persecuted as much as other people, but sometimes it does get to you. Because people fail to see that the board members that are up there want to do better.
When you say persecution, I mean, you don't have to go in detail, but I mean, what's some of the things you see that comes against you whenever you're talking, using a word like persecution?
Well, when you go up there and you think that, hey, this is great, I want to do this for the kids, it's awesome, and then you have people within the district, maybe some other people that I work with, just kind of browbeat you like, you need to be with us. And I'm like, I don't believe in that. I'm not going to do that. And sometimes it's just awkward being up there knowing that some of the people around you aren't happy with your decision. And I'm saying it now, and I've said it before. If I don't agree with something behind the scenes, I'm not going to agree with it in the public. I'm not going to go up there and look like, okay, well, I'm just going to agree so we can all look like we're united. We're not united. We've come a long ways, but we still have a long ways to go.
Need a little more unifying in the unified.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
A little more
Right.
unification in the unified school
right,
districts.
Right.
But I mean, I think we see this across the board with everybody.
Yeah, we do.
We were talking earlier, about years back, 3-4 years ago, they introduced the no suspension
Right.
laws and stuff like that. And in theory, it sounds good, but it punishes the whole class versus the individual. Some of the parents' argument was, yeah, but look what happens when you send a child home. That parent has to come home from work, or whoever it is, or a grandfather or grandparent or mother. And it's like, that's the purpose. The
Right.
purpose is you have to pay that debt.
Right.
Your child is
Right.
messing up. You need to fix that problem.
Right.
It shouldn't be on the other 25, 30 students and what they have to deal with it. And again, the law was they can defy, be disobedient,
Right.
and disrupt.
Yep.
And they can't be suspended.
Right.
And then the very guy that was saying that,
That's
I just
crazy.
played it. I don't need to go back to it.
Yeah.
I know, Laura, you asked if I was going to show that, but it's not worth the timing. Is the guy that was speaking in this interview. He says, we see no benefit of sending a child home when they should stay at school. And, that for anything.
They don't want to be at school.
They can get away with anything they want. And at the same time, in the same breath, he goes, remember, we have a way of taking disobedient children and making them behave by picking up trash, going to detention, and doing things like that. And I thought, do you not understand? If you passed no suspension, that student going, I'm not picking up trash. Well, then you're going to detention. Bet me I'm not.
Bet me I'm not.
Those type of things.
Yeah.
They don't hear themselves.
They never hear themselves when they're making up these rules,
Yeah.
thinking, let's bring up minimum wage. It'll make California better. And you just lost a lot of
Right.
jobs. What's
well,
wrong
not
with you
lost
people?
just jobs. The whole companies are leaving California.
Yeah, companies live in California.
You know.
Now, on the kids, and first off, Sister Rosemary, I would like to say thank you for taking the time to be with us today, and also taking the time
And caring for the kids.
Yeah, taking the time to care for the kids and do a lot that other people say, hey, maybe someone else can do that. Because, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there going, hey, I enjoy my work. I enjoy my ministry. I enjoy even maybe my retirement. We have a brother in our church that just got retired, and he went right back to work because he was like, you know what, I want to do something.
Right.
But I'm really appreciative of someone saying, I'm going to go do this.
Right.
Someone else may not, but at least I will.
Right.
And having experience in youth ministry, especially my father having years of experience in youth ministry, I only have about 9 years doing youth. And with each year I noticed, it's just not getting better.
Right.
Our kids are not motivated. Our kids are not wanting to do the things that, like, even my generation, like I'm 26, but even when I was a teenager, it was different.
Right.
And that wasn't very long ago. And then for Dad, it was completely the best way to do things.
Right.
Kids were just growing up fast.
Right.
Now we're stuck with this system where they think they're not able to do these things anymore, and they just give up on themselves.
There's just really, the kids are not being held accountable.
Yes.
The parents are not being held accountable.
Yes.
I have always felt like the school district, the teachers, the staff, they're not the babysitters.
No, that's right.
They're not the babysitters, but yet the teachers and the staff over there are considered counselors, babysitters, anything you can think of. But if the kid is not behaving or not doing what they're supposed to do, then the parent needs to jump in.
That's right.
There's only so much those teachers or those staff have to go back and take care of their family, but they're busy taking care of the kids. But we do suspend if the behavior was severe, we expel.
Well, that's
So
my
we
point.
expel.
California does what they want to do,
Yeah.
and then you have people like Chino Hills and Selma, that comes up and says we're just not going to comply
Right.
with those
Oh, that's
type of things.
interesting.
Right.
Okay.
You have the same thing, whether it's the wrong literature
Right.
in libraries,
Right.
and you get I have to say here in Selma, when you look at across the landscape of our nation
Right.
and the more radical movements in our schools, that we're doing pretty good. You know what I
We
mean?
are.
We're doing pretty good
Hey, Dad.
with that, but that's pretty good. It's a long way from being excellent
Right.
Right.
and
Yes.
stuff. So
Yeah.
what we're at is that pinnacle where we have to decide, are we going to take that pretty good to a good to, well, we were okay at one
Right.
time to where now we're just lousy.
Right.
And now it's just a cesspool
Right.
of educational opportunities that our kids have today. When you were talking about not having kind of a dog in the race right now, my son has been out. They graduated. Both my boys graduated in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about the fact of not having a student in school, one of my things is that to me it's even more. I value you higher, not just because you're doing it because of a love
Right.
for the
Yeah,
student.
which is great.
Where a lot of times people that might get involved is because my kids go to school,
Right.
and once they're out, I'll check
Right.
out.
Right.
Right. And
Good point.
which is like that. I mean, whenever you guys were in school, we were very involved.
Mhm.
But
You guys were.
yeah, and you guys graduated ministry. We're moving on to other things.
Correct.
We love our school,
We still
still
love
do.
Emmanuel,
and
but
we still scholarship kids to go to Emmanuel.
we do.
But we're just not as involved as we used to be. But
Right.
but inside of doing that, even let me just say something. This back in 2013, we decided to pull our boys out of the public school system so we could control the knowledge. Basically, we wanted to control. Well, we actually pulled them out when they were second or third grade.
It was
wasn't
second grade.
Yeah.
I made it through second grade, and then we went to homeschool.
And then we homeschooled then we put them back in just into high school and put them in at Emmanuel. At the time, they were Fowler School District, good school district. We love Fowler. But at that time, we wanted to be able to control the narrative, knowing how much Christianity they could be taught,
Right.
Bible they could be taught at an elementary to a junior high level. We knew that they weren't going to get that,
Right.
and stuff. So we wanted to make sure they were doing that, and it's paid off. That because both my sons are followers of Christ and lead the church, and he's an associate pastor and stuff. So that's the direction we want to go to.
Right.
In other words, my narrative was I want to put into him, and that he has the best opportunity to follow what God's got calling him to be in his ministry, and we knew that back then. But not all kids are called to be pastors. All kids
No.
are called to be that. Some have to go to higher educations if they want to be lawyers,
Well, hey.
doctors, architects, engineers, that type of
I
stuff.
remember when we were boys, you would always tell us, while we were real little, you'd always tell us, son, you can have all the knowledge in the world. You can keep taking as much knowledge in as you want, but if you don't know Jesus, what is it all worth?
Right.
And
Well,
that was the whole point.
that's a pastor's heart is, favor with God. That's always been my saying.
Yes.
Favor with God is better than the the doctorates, any degree
Favor
you can
with
ever
God
get.
and man is the most powerful
I
thing.
mean,
in
if
the
you want to
world.
be an astronaut and walk on the moon, and God's got favor, you'll just go right through there.
Correct.
You'll go right through that.
Yeah.
People go, "How did you get through the aeronautics and stuff?" Well, because God just did it. You know, so if God wants you on the moon, He'll put you on the moon, and you don't need all these degrees or engineering or any of that.
Yeah.
He'll just do it.
Yeah.
And stuff. So favor with God is greater than the best degrees man could ever offer. But there's nothing wrong with those things as long as they're pursued the correct way, and it doesn't destroy our young people and stuff. So we got an election coming up, and by the way, to finish that point is some of these parents are their narrative is more of a my kid's there and this is what I want for my kid.
Yeah.
Whereas you are going, well, my kids they're not in school
I love
anymore,
all these kids.
and I'm here.
Yeah.
I love all
I'm
these
here
kids.
because I want to pour my life into young people. So it's almost like a minister, you know, you pour your life into people's lives.
right.
And, you know, I've always thought this as a pastor, you know, where people go home, you know, especially as a man, to walk in the door. What would it feel like to walk in the door, sit in your recliner, turn on the news or whatever you're watching, and disconnect?
Yeah.
Just disconnect.
Yeah.
You know, don't care about the world.
Right.
All you do is worry about my job,
Right.
bringing that paycheck home. But a pastor's never like that. A pastor
No.
goes home, sits home,
Right.
and starts beginning to think, well, how is he going to fix this? And how can I speak life into that family? They're going through a divorce, and how can, Lord, I can maybe use me as a tool
Right.
to maybe
Right.
stop that.
Right.
Their child is going off into oblivion, and how can we be used to do that? That family's going through such trial and tribulation right now, and how are we used to be able to affect that and stuff? So you're in that same kind of role where you have no dog really in the race,
No.
and yet you're still wanting to
Right.
invest your life into that.
Well, now
Yeah.
Sister
Tell us about
Rosemary
that.
now represents the person that walked up to her and said, "Do you know Jesus?" Now Sister
Right.
Rosemary represents that person now today. Yeah, like
Good.
the kids may not remember, but they know you talked to them
Right.
once, at least
Right.
once.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, and people say the schools need to be a safe environment.
Yeah.
We provide a safe environment. When you go to school, I want to make sure that you have reading, writing, and arithmetic, and that's it. That's your safe. You get meals, you get education, you get a safe place. I feel that the schools do not have any business outside of that.
Pretty much don't catch the fish for the kid, but teach the kid how to fish so that he never has to go hungry.
Right, but don't bring. I don't enjoy when people bring staff bring their not beliefs, but their lifestyle into the school district.
That's the difference. Culture.
Yeah.
It's up to the parents.
Yes. Whatever the parents decide on it, that's what it
Right.
should
You're
be.
not going to teach my kid what I don't want
That's
them
right.
to learn.
Yep.
And so when my kids, they also went to Fowler. They started out at what was then Cathedral of Light, and I loved it. They
Right.
had, I think, Miss Emelita there.
Yeah.
She was wonderful.
That's where I started my ministry.
Yes.
Cathedral,
She was wonderful.
which is now Valley Life.
Right, Valley
Little
Life.
shout out to Valley Life, Pastor Jesse.
Yeah. Great church.
So then it got a little pricey when I had my second, and I was just so tormented taking them to a public school because I didn't know how they were gonna be in a secular school.
Right.
So I took them to Fowler. I was able to get them in Fowler, and one of my friends said, "My gosh, you're like a helicopter mom. I don't care what you call me. I'm gonna go to everything, every event, every meeting, every whatever. When your friends come over, I want to know who, what, why. I want their phone numbers when as they're standing there. I watch too much forensic files, so I'm like, I want your phone
All
number,
parents should be
Yeah.
investigators.
We all do.
right? And I said, I'm gonna call that phone number. You better stand there, and it better ring right there. And
Like, who's this calling? Okay, good.
right, I want to make sure they could have gave me a disconnected number.
She's not wrong. You're not wrong at
Right?
all. You're not
Too
wrong.
much forensic files. And so when my friends would say that, and I said, I want to make sure my kids, you know, are doing right,
Amen.
following
Amen. Yes.
God's word.
Yes.
You know, even if I tell them about it, they're going to go whatever way they want. But
Right.
at least the foundation has been built.
This is an issue of discussion right here because this is a great point. What would you say to all the people out there? Because they'll say this right now. Well, isn't sharing Jesus with them the same thing as anyone else forcing any other beliefs on the school district? And it's not the same thing.
It
It's
isn't.
we're just sharing our faith. Say, do you know Jesus? Okay, but would you
What's
like
the
to?
best way to share Jesus?
What's the best way to
Just
share
to be
Jesus?
Jesus. in
Just
front
to
of
be
people.
Jesus. I kid you not. It happens all the time. It's either you or me. Someone says, "Hey, I don't know why, but you seem like a person that just would be nice to talk to. Can I talk to you?" Sure. It happens more than you think when you just
It's
show
not even-
Jesus.
I just told your mother that. I says, every Thursday we leave Teen Challenge.
Yes.
I walk out and get in the truck and I have to wait on you because you go through a slurry of men that want to just like call you.
They
not,
do.
Not because you're with them. You'll start walking the truck and somebody else will call you down and run to you to talk with you.
Yeah.
And we've seen it over and over, whether you're in the gym, whether you're someplace, someone walks up and just starts talking to you and
Yeah.
stuff. So
So now Rosemary is that light. So people just talk to you, and it's not
Yeah,
the
they
same
do.
as forcing your beliefs. It's
Right.
not.
Right.
Yeah. It's
And
good stuff.
somebody's got to fight for the kids. Somebody has to be there and say, whether I'm voted, it's a 5 board. Even if I'm voted, it's 4 against 1. My voice has been heard.
that's what I tried to say
You know
to
where
our
I stand.
ministers, some of our pastors, that maybe our city is doing things we disagree with. And I've had ministers say this is, Marty, one of the things you have to remember, that's going to happen because it falls under discrimination, whatever it might be. And it says that's going to happen and there's nothing we can really do to stop it. I said, that's not my job. My job is to stand.
Right.
My job is to stand because one of these days I'm going to hear again,
Mm-hmm.
Matthew 25, well done, my good and
Right.
faithful
Amen.
servant.
Yes.
Right.
Good stuff.
That's what I'm looking for. Well done, my good and faithful servant. You remember that parable that the master gave 1 5 and he gave 1 2 and he gave 1 1. But the key to the whole scripture is it says that each one was given to their ability. So when I preach this message, I always say it this way: the 5 was like a foreman type guy. You could trust him. He's been through it. The one that got the 2 was maybe a protege to the foreman. He's learning, he's watching. The 1, he's the new guy, he's the hireling. Train him up, bring him up.
Right.
But I'm going to give him an opportunity. So I'm going to give him one thing according to his ability. And when he came back, they'd all duplicated their profits, if you want to call it that. And the one said, and here's the key to it. Jesus said in this parable, he says, you knew that I was a hard man. You knew that I reaped where I didn't sow. You knew that. And he says, yet you still took and hid it in the ground.
Yeah.
He says,
Yeah.
you could have at least put it in the bank and let me get interest off of
Right,
that.
right.
He said, but you did nothing with it, you wicked, evil servant.
Yeah.
He's casting whether it be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Yeah.
Meaning just that when you look at the situation that we have today is that God expects us to take whatever that ability is and use it to his glory. And when you have the opportunity to do that and be a light in a
Yeah.
dark world,
Mhm.
that's what God asks us to be, is to be a light
Right.
in a dark world.
Right.
What Kaloha just said is, no, teachers aren't in there, saying, used to, by the way, the schools used to teach Bible and read, have
Right,
Bible. When I was in
right.
school, just in my generation of being in school,
Yeah.
is we used to go to school and we walked to school every day, and the national anthem would begin to play on these massive speakers on top of our school building. And we would stop on the way to school and everybody stopped and put their hand over their chest, every student. There's no one out there to even govern you to do that. There wasn't
Right.
teachers there to report you.
Right.
It was just something we knew to do. Stop moving and just sit there and put your hand over your heart like that. And then we got to school. Teachers would be just like, hey, you guys want to start us out today with a good Bible reading, a
Right.
good scripture. Gives, said a lot of times with Proverbs stuff. But it was always like that. And then, those things changed radically in 63 and began to change through the early 60s on up, and with our with morality and then pushing God out of the schools. I always say it this way: you push God out of the schools, what'd you get?
You don't get anything good.
Look
Right.
look where our schools
You
are
don't
today.
get nothing good.
The
That's for
violence
sure.
and stuff. So
That kind of reminds me of a story of an ex-board member. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Roger Orozco, but when I came on, he was still on the board, and he had fought hard for for Pledge of Allegiance.
Hey,
He
yeah,
fought it, and
yeah.
he brought it up at meetings, and he brought it up, you know.
Why
and
don't we do it anymore?
he just, I don't even know if we do it anymore, but
We do every Sunday.
We do every Sunday, yeah.
But he got such pushback from some of the teachers.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, here at Christ Driven,
This is America.
every Sunday,
Yeah.
every Sunday morning, our children stand in front of the church
Yeah.
and they lead our whole church
Right.
in the Pledge of
What's sad
Allegiance.
is our kids today in high school don't even know the Pledge of
Right.
Allegiance
Yeah, they don't
anymore.
know.
They can't say the
Right.
words. It's like, oh,
Right.
it's terrible.
Yeah.
Even when my kids, even when we do the national anthem before games, I'm singing along with it, and they're like, "Mom, don't sing. Your voice is not like, you're not in pitch." I don't care. I'm
That's-
singing my heart out.
Well,
To the
it's an
national-
anthem. It's meant for everybody.
Yeah, they're like, can you're just not on your pitch is off, and I don't care what is. I'm still singing it.
He gave proof to the night that our flag was
Right.
still there.
Yes, yes. But,
Well, we are, you know, as you come into this home stretch, what are some of the things you want to say to the people? And
I would like to see more parents being invested in their kids.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And you know what? As these bills come up and these laws get enacted,
Yeah.
I feel like it's our fault because we're not doing our due diligence as citizens. You know, when we see something we don't like that affects our kids, we should be calling our representatives.
Yeah.
We should be emailing them, calling them, writing them. Squeaky wheel gets the oil. Squeaky wheel. And just because it's a law that was passed, we can still fight it. We have other school districts that are fighting some of the legislatives that came down.
Yeah.
Why aren't we fighting?
That's right.
We need to fight. We need to fight for our kids.
Yeah. Don't just roll over
Well,
and
just
say, well,
like
can't do
in-
nothing.
Right.
just like in this past July, Governor Newsom passed signed the law into law. It's not in effect yet, but taking the rights away from the
From
parent
the parents.
to know when their children are transitioning or want to go to a school. There's a narrative behind that. They can call it safety.
Yeah.
And I heard people speaking in you know, being for this law, and they were saying because we want our kids to be safe even at home, and if they come out of that closet, they don't want them to be homeless or to be maligned or abused or any of that stuff at home. It's like, well, what you want, you know, that's still a family thing. That's stuff that's a family
Right.
issue. That's, to me, is no different than all of a sudden it's just saying, you know, we want a certain standard in
Right.
marriages. Here's a certain way you can do it. Here's a certain
Right.
amount of people you can invite. People say, well, Pastor Marty, that's insane. Go back to 2020. They did it.
Yeah.
Told you couldn't get married. They just said you're not allowed to get married in California because of COVID. You can't go to the funerals.
Right.
You can't go to
Right.
visit your grandparents in a retirement
Yeah.
center. So they can do it.
Yeah.
And the church folded with that, except for this one. I mean, there's a few didn't, but we didn't. We ignored every one of those mandates.
Well,
it took a little bit on the chin for it, but the fact is, I don't want to get off onto the subject.
Right.
Is when we're looking at the things that we have to fight for in our schools or for, I want to encourage you and just tell you, fight the good fight. So Paul says, you know, I fought the good fight. I finished the race. My job is not to win.
Right.
My job is not to win. I tell ministers all the time, I hope you pastors out there will always listen and remember this. It is not our job to win. Our job, we already won.
Yeah.
We've already won. Our job is to try to maintain and keep the morality and the decency for Jesus Christ and what's happening in our communities, what's happening in our churches, what's happening in our schools, because our churches are almost just as ridiculous as a school system. You look across the board and what we're doing inside
A lot
the
of our churches have lost the fear of God.
Yeah,
for sure.
lost the fear of God. And so my job is to stand. And so I just want to say congratulations to you to stand up, you know, for the school board, for Selma.
Yes.
And I know there's some good folks, and that, you know, here's the way I always believe. I could interview every one of your board and say, do you want to destroy the schools?
Well,
Not one of them say, absolutely. That's exactly why, you know, I ran for the school board, Selma Unified, because I'm just looking to destroy everything about the schools. in their mind, they think they have what's best for the school.
Everyone always does.
I was talking to a council member the other day, and I says, which one of you come on those Monday nights and say, you know, I was elected for one reason, because I want to destroy Selma. I want to have the worst town in California. I want people to despise when they drive down the 99, I want them to almost hold their nose going through Selma until they get to Fowler, because I want this place to be so bad. And I says, which one's who's like that? And I says, but yet there's such lack of unity, even at our council, you know, because they all have in their mind what they think is best for Selma on a different narrative and agenda. And until somewhere you come to that middle and just say, can we all agree on this? Can we all agree that's a real deep pothole? We should fix it.
Right.
I mean, down to the basic, simple things.
Right.
If you just walked out and says, you see that big hole in the middle of the street?
We should fix that.
We should fix that.
Right.
Well,
Now, can we go from there and work backwards? You know, without going, we can, but what we should do first is make sure that curb has been poured first on the other side of town. We should make sure that this has been done over here. That park needs to get built first. Just go fix the hole.
Yes.
well, you don't want to fix it too fast. It might offend somebody.
You know, there you go. But so I'm just real glad, you know, and however we can support and help you out. And we're looking forward to your reelection.
For the public, real quick, a question. I made clear this is a new law coming in for kids to not be the suspension thing. So that's going to be a new law, or is that mandation?
That's already in effect.
Okay. Do the schools?
That's been 3 or 4 years ago.
Do the schools get to decide whether that is?
Well, like Rosemary said, they're doing it. We're still
suspending and expelling.
Perfect.
According to what
Just making that clear for the public. I was like, for any questions.
Yeah.
You can go and look that up if you want, and you can find that. Just put California school suspension laws, and you'll see it and stuff like that. There's a lot of schools that are bucking against the things California is doing.
Hey, keep bucking.
But this is the reason why.
Yeah.
We have people like Rosemary who's going, well, no, that's not right.
No.
And most of, you mean if a child's if the students and the teachers are endangered because of a student's behavior,
Yes.
if the teachers, the
The
staff,
student shouldn't stay.
No, the student does not stay.
Okay. Good.
And we do have positive behavioral interventions and supports for it, and it's a tiered intervention, but it's a case-by-case basis. And I do remember at one of our board meetings, there was this student there. I heard of a student that came to school and was going off and screaming. I mean, just really, like he probably should have been expelled right there.
Yes.
But then when we sent him, they have like a bare room where they have the RSO and they have a social worker in there. Come to find out that he was actually
RSO meaning
resource school officer.
Just wanted people to.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And his father died that morning, and he found him.
Oh.
So
You don't know.
yeah, you just don't know what that kid's going through.
Oh, man.
You know.
I ran my youth group like that back in the day. I had 700-800 kids, maybe more, some weeks, coming to our youth group. And we had to have pretty specific rules because they were coming from communities all over this Orosi. We had Parlier coming, Kingsburg, Selma, all these schools coming together, or all these kids there's a lot of rivalry there. Had a big group coming out of Selma and Kingsburg and stuff. So we had rules, and the rules could not be broken. But inside that, there was an unwritten code that bring them to me, I want to know.
Right.
And the reason why is my staff would always be the heavies. They'd bring him and say, so-and-so did this on the bus, and he's expelled for 2 weeks. And so I brought him to you. I would always be kind of the lightweight, would be the more of a moderator. Yet they were my rules.
Right.
But I'd be the moderator and go, what's going on?
Yeah.
And I told our staff, there's a reason. I says, you got someone that's always wanting to fight you, push you, lay hands on you. They can't be there.
Yeah.
I said, they got to be expelled out of our youth.
Right.
And we had a youth group where kids would beg to be in it.
Right.
It was like, please, Pastor, don't kick me out
Also,
of
it was back in the day, too.
It was back in the day.
Yeah.
And stuff. And I says, but on the other hand, just like you said, all of a sudden you have a student that's never done stuff like that, but one Thursday night, they're acting out and nothing's right. and stuff, and you just come to them and you have a justification on them and say, here's what happened,
Right.
and here's the rules. And you go, why did this happen? And that person says, and all of a sudden you find out maybe they were abused that day and
Right.
were beaten, and you don't know,
Right.
what could be going on in
Right.
that student's life. And you realize you have to look at everything individually.
Yeah.
Though you might have, there's a sign that says no running at the pool.
Right.
There are the
There
rules.
are always someone
But inside
that runs
those,
too.
you have to be able to
Right.
say, now let's look at why
Yes.
that person who has never,
Right.
for the last 10, 15 years coming to the pool, has
Yeah.
never ran once, never
Right.
have disobeyed the lifeguards. But today they did. Why?
Why? Yeah.
And so you look at those and say, is there a reason what happened?
Yeah.
And so in a bigger general sense, there's always the rules, and then there's always somebody that's got the ability to sit down and say, can we talk about this?
Right.
Why'd that happen?
Right. And I do remember one meeting we had, and I can't remember what the topic was, and I don't remember how we got there. And we were talking about a family. Two secondary children went to elementary school, and they had an older brother. And I just can't remember what it was. What happened was the brother had to quit school because the parents went to Mexico, left the kids there with the older brother, and they died of COVID. So now what's going to happen with these kids? So after the meeting, I talked to the presenter and I said, where's these kids? She's like, oh, we set them up. And I said, next time you have that, you call me at midnight and I will go pick up those kids. I don't care if everybody has to sleep in bunk bed. I'll take them to my house. So, we just really have to look at what's going on. And then there's just kids that they just don't care. So like you said, it's an individual, a case by case.
Case by case.
So
Anything else you want to bring up?
you talked about COVID. I do remember I came in more or less around COVID, and there was 2 school districts that stayed open. And I had requested, why can't Selma Unified stay open? We should have stayed open, especially with, we're kind of middle-sized district. I can't remember the reason was, well, like those 2 school districts are open. Why can't we stay open? And to me, that was important. And you talked about going to, standing up. So let's talk about Measure Al. Measure Al is important to me because as the old board was going out, and then before the new board came in, we had a different superintendent, and we asked the citizens to tax themselves on their property tax. We got a bond, Measure Al bond, and we promised the people that they would never use salaries for that bond. The monies for that bond would go to facilities, all facilities. So we got a new board in, and we got a new superintendent, and one of the meetings, he's like, well, we're gonna take a salary. And I said, no, we promised that we would not take money out for salaries. So he said, well, I've talked to the attorney, and they said it's okay. And I said, just because it's okay doesn't mean we do it. We promised our constituents.
Well, that's
we
what
were gonna
attorneys do. They'll tell you, you're not breaking any law, so it's okay to go back and lie.
What's the joke? You betrayed me?
Yeah.
We're lawyers.
No.
Is it okay that we lie to the people? Yeah, it's okay.
No, we can't do that, And then one of the board members goes, oh, if the attorney says it's okay with me. And I'm like, you don't understand. We made a promise. We made a promise.
Keep your word.
Yeah, so I was just really disappointed about that. We do have one salary. It's not very much, but still, it's no salaries. No salaries. And then after this, we come up with this salary schedule change. After we promised the people that we were going to take salaries out of this, we come with this salary schedule change and bumped all the salaries up, and it came out to $4,195,061. After we promised we didn't take salaries out of here, we go and we give huge salary increases, huge. And I said, we can't. We're being fiscally irresponsible. That COVID money is not free. It's going to come and get us. It's going to down the road. It's going to get us. We need to keep our reserves up. And a lot of people don't understand that when I came on the board, I have never been so appalled in my life. Just the things that I saw that were brought to the attention of the board that for years had been going on, nobody knew about it. And if they did, they looked the other way. and it just shocked me. One of the things we were going through union negotiations. I've never been through anything like that. I've never been near a union, so it was all new to me. But I said, how can you afford these salaries? Like once you approve the salary, it keeps going forever. And then the attorney said, oh, we just lay off people. You just lay off people? So if you have a janitor and you have a cook or a teacher that are low on the totem pole, you're going to lay them off? Everybody does it. That's how we balance the budget. I was appalled. I said, so you have two people that are going to lose their salaries and their health benefits. That's not okay with me. So so people think that I'm just being mean because I don't want to pass these gigantic raises. No, I'm trying to save everybody's job in the district and still pay our bills.
Yeah.
You have to be fiscally responsible. I don't want to lay anybody off. I want everybody to have their jobs. But if we budget right and we take care of, all our needs and a little bit of our wants, then we'll be okay.
People don't understand the common sense of that. It's like, just like we were said earlier in the podcast when we said California raised the minimum wage. They said, yes, good for us. We get paid more money. And a lot of people just went home. Like,
they don't get jobs.
The businesses are like, we can't pay all of you, so we can only take what we can. So most of you have to go home. And you don't realize you hurt a lot of people in California.
And not only that, they cut the employees' cut their hours.
And that
so
too.
Where
they work less now.
Yeah, now they're only working part-time.
So nothing really changed other than we lost a lot of jobs.
One of the answers, Rosemary, is just to about more money is just print more money.
Yeah, I heard. No, we're not doing that.
We just call the feds and tell them, can you print some more up? Because we want to give more money
away. Are your printers running slow? What's going on here, guys?
And we have to remember
I loved it all the time. Just, you guys, the word free is so misused.
Right.
In this country.
It is.
In the world.
It is.
Free.
Yeah.
It's like, when you just say freedom, we have freedom in this country. And you think what freedoms you do have, they didn't come because it was free.
No, you sound like
somebody paid the price.
Somebody paid a massive price for that.
People
their
said,
lives.
You sound like Bernie Sanders. We want free health care.
Everything's free. Free college. Well, yeah, because the professors are no longer taking salary. The coaches are getting no salary.
Yeah.
Nobody, the gardeners, everybody's donating their time so kids can have free college. No, they want me to pay for it.
They want all of us to pay for it.
It's like, that's not my kid.
It's not my kid.
Pay for your own kid. And so nothing's free. I always like,
someone pays it.
It just makes me, if there's something that probably, if you want to say, because people say get triggered.
Pet peeve.
If there's something that triggers me is to drive by these booths and go, free phones.
Yeah.
No.
Free what?
Someone built it.
It might be the free. It's not even free to the person getting the free phone, because that person getting the free phone doesn't realize, oh, this was free to me, or several of them. Because I seen one lady bragging about she had gotten 20 or 30 phones.
Yes.
And she goes, they're all free to me. Actually, they're not. When you go back into the store, all of those prices, because that's inflation.
Yeah.
When you go back and buy something or try to buy a car or insurance or anything, all that inflation that's been free piles on to, well, now everybody's going to pay for that.
Right.
And so when people
in the long run, you still pay no matter what.
Right.
So, I mean, if you went to a Fresno State Bulldog game and they wanted to increase their crowds and they said, come to the games, snack bars are free. Anything you want's free. You go, that's fantastic. And then you look at your price of your ticket and you go, wonder why the tickets are $15 more this year than they were per person.
Right.
They're going, well, because they're attracting you for free food.
Right.
They're just charging it on the ticket and just saying, give them hot dogs, give them what they want.
Right.
It's not free. It's never free. And somebody has to pay for that.
Right.
And so if somebody got paid to put that phone right there together, somebody got paid to put it all together, no one worked for free, they got a check to do that, then they hand that phone to someone and goes, this is free. No, it's not. Someone paid for that.
Right.
And stuff. So it's like the schools, they start thinking this money is just, monopoly money.
Right.
Print more up. Just print some more.
Right. And it's
That's a
We've-
whole nother political issue right
Yeah,
there.
we've come a long ways. I'm saying we've come a long ways. We got the wrestling facility that had tried to get on the agenda for years, and we finally got them on the years. I mean, got them on the agenda to build a new wrestling room for them, and they deserve it. They've put some on the map with some of their
Some of the wrestling, great wrestlers out of here.
right. And so our superintendent now did a great job by move. So what happened was we had to measure out money, but the last superintendent put it so far out that by the time we got there, there would be no money. So the superintendent came into office and he found a way to put it. So we'll start breaking ground for that in 25, 26. And that's great. He pulled it from years out to here, and we can use the measure out money for what it's intended for. So I'm really happy about that.
That's good.
But
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah. So
It's good news.
He did a great job, and the curriculum.
If they fulfill that, it's good news.
Yes,
Yeah, yes.
they will. Believe me, I'm going to be hammering it. But
Don't
if I
forget
get
this.
back
Want a
on
new
there.
wrestling room? Make sure you vote for Rosemary.
So, and one of the things that I also came on was I kept asking, why do we keep promoting the kids that haven't learned? They don't learn, but we promote them. We promote them. We promote them. And then the kids get to junior high, they're already lost. You get to high school, they're gone.
Oh.
So what I come to find out with the new superintendent is, and it's happened for years because I've talked to other people, is that the curriculum was not aligned with the state testing. So if your kid was taking their district tests, they were doing wonderful. But when they went to do the state tests, they were failing. So what happened is this curriculum was put in place that didn't align with the state testing. So
So they weren't ready at all for
No, they didn't even know anything
Is this
about
the
them state.
SA? What's it
A
called?
CCASP or a CASP, CCASP. So the superintendent went in, checked everything, and then started aligning it. So we should start seeing better test scores. But it's going to take us years to fix what was. And I asked one of the principals, why is this happening? And he came out at the meeting and said, because it's been allowed. And I'm like, that's amazing. But nobody's going to know unless they ask the questions. If that was my kid and I was in there and I'm like, why? Well, what happened? Why? And the teacher doesn't answer me, I'll go to the next person. I'll go to the next person.
The next person
till
until I get
the
an answer that I'm looking for.
But parents, you guys, they don't know how much power they have. Parents of kids in the school district have enormous power. We're the constituents. You guys put us in office. We better do our jobs. We better make sure that those kids learn. And the only thing that they go to school for is what school's intended, to educate them. Leave all that other stuff at the door. To me, that's a safe environment. I don't know what anybody else thinks, but I don't care what you do behind your closed doors. I don't care what you do. Just don't be teaching my kids that. And that's kind of how I feel.
Yeah. Have the freedom of your own choices and make the system work better.
You know.
Well, it's been real informative, Rosemary.
Thank you.
And we need more people really to stand up and again, as I said earlier, you may not win all these battles, but as a believer and a follower, we know we win the war.
Right.
We win
Amen.
it all.
Right.
And what we're here to do is do what we call, damage control. Try to keep everything on board, on track as best we can, as ministers, pastors, school board, council members, whatever it is, deacons and churches, to try to keep everything's aligned with biblical principles as we can, keep our morals in a place in check where we can. It's insane, the morality of our young people today.
Right.
It's insane, to think back. I can remember whenever I was in school, to think bad thoughts, I felt guilty. I felt like someone probably knows I'm thinking this, and
Oh my goodness.
and today these kids are acting them out and actually doing them,
Right.
in
This
real
seems
time.
like a good idea.
And stuff. So it's, again, it goes back to what I said to some pastors. He says, my job is not to go to city council
Right.
and win. My job is to go and tell them I disagree with your
Right.
policies.
Right.
I said, disagree with your decisions.
I love you still, but I disagree
And
with
I
you.
love you, and we can go get a milkshake. That's my trademark to all the, it's like, this, if you're mad, let's go get a milkshake and we can settle this right now. I just always, you can take some people that you think oppose you and go say, maybe, down, let's grab a milkshake and let's talk about this. And you'll find out that there's a lot can be done. It's like you find out, all of the combatants against what I believe and all of what I believe that combats against the another side, let's say A and B, neither one want to destroy our community. We just have different philosophies and ways of getting to the end goal.
Right.
And some of those things, if we don't slow them down, I'll just say this. I've always tried to teach this, and people don't believe it, but it's the truth. If I could push a button today and just had a button and all conservatives on this planet disappeared and the morals they take with them, they all disappear. Literally, the world would go to hell in a handbasket overnight.
Right.
But if I could push a button to where all the progressive, liberal ideas, everything gets better.
Right.
It gets better. And because it's not that they're, when you look even across the aisle to other people, and it's easy to sit here, who we're for. But the fact of the matter is that, man, I like Robert F. Kennedy and I like John F. Kennedy. And I like some of these people that, I think that Jimmy Carter was an amazing man of God. He just didn't have policies I cared for, And so there's people you can look at all the time across, but that's not where we're at today. Where we're at today is there's so much destructive forces coming into what we think sounds good. Like back to the school thing with the 1955, AB 1955, Assembly Bill 1955 is, for someone that's saying, we want our students to be safe at home, whether they're at school or at home, we want them to be safe. Yeah. Well, when it comes to somebody listening out there with a lack ear, in other words, they lack the intelligence to understand, they're going, me too. I want that too. Man, that's exactly what I want. I want our kids to be safe, not only at school, but at home too. I don't want them abused and all this. And so you think, I'm for that bill. I'm for AB 1955. And then you don't realize, wait a minute.
You voted for something
that hasn't been tested or seen to the end. Conservatism is, all the conservative people say, hey, conservatives, what conservatives, I want to save your values. It's if you want to cuss me out to my face, I'm going to go to the polls and vote for freedom of speech.
It's literally in the word conserve.
Yeah.
Do it the right way, the slow way, what is best for everyone.
And so, my point is in the schools and all of that is that, we need people that are willing to say, look, I'm not, it doesn't matter. I have a friend that's a school board member, who he is, and gave him actually time in our church that we're not even of the same faith. And I gave him time to come in and say, but he's a good man.
He's a good man.
And he had, things, and whether you and him may butt heads at your meetings, been a friend of mine too. And, he'd be welcome to be on the program also. But is that I know he has what's in his heart, what's best. But if you don't think about conserving things, it's kind of like music. I don't know what style of music you grew up on, what you liked. But me is, I grew up on every style of music. I was a musician growing up my whole life. So the music evolved for me. But if I have to go back, it's 70s rock and roll up to the 90s, in that period of time where great bands were out there.
You like jazz?
Yeah.
I love jazz.
Yeah. And stuff. So when you look at it, I'd have to say that's my favorite genre of period of time. But I'll go down the road and I'll tell him, put this on your iPad.
Oh, yeah.
And it'll be something like Marmalade Reflection. It's just this old classic.
Reflections of my life.
By Marmalade, or Procol Harum, their songs like that where you come up and you go, no one on the earth has not known this or heard this iconic song. They may not know who plays it, but they've never heard that. And you just all of a sudden takes you to a place where you go, that was a good time.
Yeah.
That
Righteous
was a good
Brothers.
time, you know. And so there's a reason we don't throw old music away.
Right.
And there's a reason we don't tell people, this is old, stop doing it.
Right.
You got to conserve those things.
That's
you got to
right.
conserve those values. And the same thing in our political landscape across whatever it is, schools, council, federal,
Well, it's
state,
like, Dad,
whatever it is, you lose those conservative values. Everything goes to hell in a handbasket overnight.
why would you want to destroy the words of Abraham Lincoln? It's old. Get rid of it. We don't need it anymore. We're always going to need to
you
hear
can't.
those words one more time.
Gettysburg Address.
We're always going to need to hear that
You're
again.
always going to want that. And, you know, and so I've always said this, and this is what I like about conservatives, whether you're Charlie Kirk or me or Michael knows any of us, we're going to sit and say, we're going to vote that you can cuss me out with your words and say anything
And
you
have the
want.
freedom to do
And
it.
we're going to vote that we take your rights away. If you don't believe that, look what's happening to X right now
Yeah.
as we speak in
Yeah.
Brazil.
Yeah.
He's been banned.
Yeah.
And now here in this country, there are politicians saying countries should start arresting Elon Musk for giving people a platform to speak openly.
Isn't that ridiculous?
So his whole thing is
Absolutely
this. His whole thing
ridiculous.
is this. They can lie all they want. They can say what they want on X.
Yeah.
It's your job to find them out. It's my job
Right.
to investigate. You talk about forensic files. People are going, we don't want any investigative responsibility at all. Whatever you tell me, I'm going to believe you.
That's honestly
You
all
know,
he had us
we're
watch
going
as
to tell
kids.
you Trump is a racist, a misogynist. He's a Nazi. He's all that. Well, when did he ever do that?
Yeah.
This is just last night on the media. If he's hired, if he's elected, he will be a dictator and he will take and persecute every one of his enemies. Did he do that? He even talked about in 2016 locking up Hillary Clinton. He didn't even make
I
one
saw.
attempt to do that. Not once did he even try.
Well, because he went and started focusing on the country, and I'd rather focus on my people rather than
and what were they
Hillary.
doing? Hillary paid for that Russia garbage. She paid for that.
Yeah.
And nothing even happened to her. And so we see this time and time again. As a conservative, I'm going to fight a war so you can fly your rainbow flag. I'll fight a war so you can say what you have to say. All we're asking you is fight with us.
Yeah.
They're
So-
going, no, we want our right to say what we got to say.
Yeah.
I saw a college protest the other day, and this guy's standing there, and he's being pushed, shoved around, and being persecuted by Americans that are holding Hamas flags. And he's saying, this America, they're burning the flag. They did at the DNC. They burnt the flag out front, the United States flag. And these people are persecuting him for his beliefs of being American in America. And I thought to myself, how far have we come that the Americans, it's like I showed you Sunday, I can put it up right now. If you go to my Facebook, did you see that? Because me and you are Facebook together. I have all these posts that have been, content has been blocked.
I did see that.
Okay. That's why I keep posting it. And I keep telling everybody to post it.
Yeah.
Do you know what's behind it?
Mm-mm.
The American Eagle with a prayer for the country.
Oh no, I didn't. I was afraid to go on there.
You know, that's why.
Yeah.
That's why he says everybody should post this and share this, because I got
Yeah,
up Sunday
It's good stuff.
and I had them put up my content
They
on that. I
blocked
says,
a prayer.
I want to apologize. I put up content that was offensive. And as a pastor, I think I should ask for forgiveness for showing things that was offensive to our
people.
people, our folks, our content. And I says, so here's my page, been blocked. And I says, and here it is when you open it up. And it has an American eagle with the stars and stripes. And as a prayer, it says, Dear Heavenly Father, protect our country in this day, time, and whatever it is, and day we live in. It's a prayer.
Protect this country.
You post it, they'll block it within a minute or two.
I did see your Facebook, and it's a graphic image on there.
If you ever see that up there, post it, because if I'm posting it,
Yeah.
it means
If
something
Dad's
behind
posting it,
is
it's good.
something like the
It's
American
good.
flag.
I just thought maybe you got hacked or something.
No.
So you know what I mean?
No,
Somebody.
no.
No.
Yeah. I was
That's why I
like,
put up there, share it, share it.
Yeah.
And when they do that, you can put, it says learn more. You can hit that and it'll take you to another page that says this content has been flagged because it does not line up with our beliefs. Whatever
Yeah,
they say.
yeah.
Stuff. Then you hit the next button and it's an American Eagle with that up there. Can you do
I
my
have it
Facebook
up.
from there?
I have
Yeah.
it up. You ready to see
Let
it?
me
Yeah,
show you
please
this.
throw
too.
it on up.
This will show you.
There it is. Wow.
Okay. That's the one that gets flagged. Dear God, I bow my head and ask If it be thy will, that's it.
Be that
Please
will.
save this land from those who seek to destroy it.
And they blocked it?
Every time they will. Doesn't matter if it's me, you, it doesn't matter.
I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
It will probably get blocked.
So last night, I think I went and shared it again. I'm going to make them keep doing it.
Right, right.
And but for people to get that out there, the more people do it, they go, how come there's so many blocked things on all
Yeah.
these friends of mine?
I did see
and then
several
they'll
friends.
start pushing on. They'll start going, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And I saw it. I didn't know that, but I saw it. I think it was through somebody like a Charlie Kirk or Michael Knowles or something. They showed it. And I was like, so I looked it up to post it.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I posted it. Boom.
So last thing I want to say, and we'll finish off with Sister Rosemary, but it's exactly what Satan has always wanted and what he's always planned for. If we can turn on one another, he doesn't have to work as hard.
Right.
And when you look at the school board and you look at what you're trying to do, and I applaud you for that, you say, hey.
Well, son, have you seen the picture of the bottle of ants, black ants and red ants?
What?
Yes.
Have you seen that
yes,
picture?
I've
I
seen
shared that too. It might be on, I think I did. Did you see that? The bottle of ants?
Yes.
And there's a bottle of jar of red and black ants.
Yeah.
They're just in there.
Yeah. What's going
It
on?
says they don't do anything. They're just piled in a big pile in a jar. He says they won't do anything to each other. But if you shake the jar, they'll kill each other.
Yeah.
Says because they think that they're each other's enemy. And it says really the enemy is the person who's shaking the jar.
The jar.
Right.
And I always tell
That's what you're trying to say.
I always tell my brothers, I go, is it friend or foe? I go, usually the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Right.
The ultimate enemy is Satan. I go, just because we disagree, you may consider me your enemy, but actually in reality, we are friends. Like my brother in high school, everyone considered him my enemy, but this kid became my best friend. And now he's still my brother to this day. You don't realize how much you have in common with someone when you really get to know them. Just because you disagree on one issue doesn't mean you should hate each other.
Yeah.
It's so true. Work together.
Well, I just thank you guys for allowing me to come on here.
Absolutely.
And express how I feel and what I'm fighting for. And all I'm fighting for is the kids. It takes a village. It takes a village to raise these kids.
Well, unfortunately, I can't vote for you,
I know.
but he can.
I can, and I definitely will.
But you wouldn't believe it if you look at my voting line.
Yeah.
My mailbox is in. If I was on the side of Elkhorn with my mailbox, I could, but I'm on the other side of the street. My
Right.
mailbox is over on that side, and Elkhorn is the line.
Yeah.
He goes around
Yeah.
and stuff's like, you can't vote for anybody. I have to vote all that Tulare County and all that
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
that
Kings
stuff.
County.
Kings
Is it
County.
Kings County?
Yeah,
Well,
I get all that. But hey, don't forget everybody, hit our like button and
please subscribe.
yes,
hit the bell
subscribe.
notification.
Absolutely.
on
Rosemary's
social
running
media.
for school board, Selma Unified, and
Please.
got to kind of be enlightened today of some of the things we're going through in our school board and the direction of finance. And want to just say, if any of the school board watches, hey man, you're welcome to come on.
Yes,
But I want to
please.
tell you this, man, be responsible with the finances. God's put you in a position to be responsible. Money's not free. It's never going to be free. Everybody in this room has to pay for it. And so we want
Keep
you
your
to,
promises.
we want the best schools we can be afforded.
Right.
In my closing, that just made me think of this because we put you guys in Emmanuel and there was this rival school of ours. Not even going to give them credit to say it, but you should be able to figure it out if you know that they went to Emmanuel, who your rival school is. Wasn't Selma, but
Yeah, I
they'd
remember.
come over no matter what it was, and they'd march around the gym or whatever. We get our Jesus for free. We get our remember that
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And I always thought to myself, you know what the problem with public school is and private school is?
Just by the way,
The people in the public school don't realize you're paying for them too.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Just because you guys went to private school.
Dad's not talking about CVC. He's
Yeah.
talking about a public school that had a rival with us. There's another school.
No, this was a public school.
This is a
rivaled-
public school and
rivaled
Emmanuel. Yeah.
And they would come over and carry banners around. We get our Jesus for free. And I thought to myself, you guys of ignorance, you speak of ignorance because when you put your kids in a private school, you know that. It didn't change your tax structure at all.
Did not.
They don't come and
Did
go,
not.
you're not involved in the public school district? We're going to remove those
Right.
school taxes out of your,
Right. No.
you don't have to pay no more. You keep paying them school taxes just like everybody else. and at the same time you're paying tuition.
Right.
And so I thought that's but anyways, that's some of the things I just thought about that when I was saying that. Want to say God bless you all. Don't forget, we're Fearless 33 AD. We believe that by the year 33 AD, we're going to see a massive change in the return of our King and Savior Jesus Christ, as that 2,000-year period will be exhausted from his crucifixion.
Right.
And that's if you use the year 33. We've already talked about that.
Yeah, depending on whatever years you use,
I'm just saying
you
the
just know
outside
it's
most.
going to happen real
We
soon.
know he wasn't. We know he wasn't crucified past 33, and so whether it was 30, 31, 32, 33, we're just saying Jesus is close. Look up, your Redeemer draws nigh, and he's coming back. Hold on to your conservative values. Turn to Jesus Christ. Always remember that we love you and we want you to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior.
Yes.
He's the way, the truth, the life, and no one
Amen.
comes to the Father but through him.
Amen.
And follow your Bible, Sola Scriptura, by grace alone, through faith alone, in Christ alone, according to the Word alone,
To the glory,
of God alone. Is your 5 solas. So keep those in mind. You're always going to stay on that path. You're going to be straight. God bless each and every one of you. Thanks for watching us today.